You all right, man? Did you eat today? You like, because it seemed like you act like a bitch when you're hungry. Give him a Snickers. Give him a Snickers. But it seemed like he's never going to just actually calmly analyze the situation and be like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm wrong right now. Maybe he does do that. He just doesn't seem like the type.
As Marxist-Leninists, he at the same time loves to tokenize Marxist-Leninists like Fred Hampton by claiming that they inspired him to get into politics in order for Vaush to give himself this.
I'm not mad at Fred Hampton. I'm going to be honest with you. I like more of his anti-government stances, though, to be honest. The only way liberation of the oppressed people of Vietnam, the oppressed people of Babylon's freedom can be found is to be founded on a land that is fertilized. Let me see. I can barely see what the hell that word said. Yeah, fertilized by the bones and the blood of these aggressive pig dogs that came into our communities, occupied communities like troops occupy foreign territory and going to Vietnam. He was going there. He was going in our social movement following for a transcript speech delivered by Fred Hampton, Northern Illinois University. I understand. He was wilding out. He also changed which a lot of people do this with like political leaders. When they change their stances, people don't really talk about that. They don't really share that side. They do it with Malcolm X all the time. Like, oh, Malcolm X said this and said, nigga, like right before he died, he changed like most of his philosophies, right? I think the same thing happened with Fred Hampton. He updated his philosophies. I don't know if this is before or after he created the Rainbow Coalition. Like, but people are probably just going to look up whatever quotes fits their narrative and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I agree with Fred Hampton a lot on his anti-government stances, to be honest.
This veil of radicalism.
Literally got into leftism because of the Black Panther Party. The assassination of Fred Hampton, the bullshit went left, but still, like, to me, the foundational text I use and propaganda is blues.
He gets explicitly called out for just how he tokenizes radical leftists to make himself look more radical than he is. And this.
You got into, let me hear that one. You got into it from, that's what he used as a defense when he was beefing with this black woman. He said, well, actually, I got into politics from Fred Hampton. Was you alive back then, or did you like find out about him and do research? Like, how did you even do? Did you read a book or something of that nature? And then that entire thing made you the Vaush that, yo, that's crazy. Him blaming that on Fred Hampton is wild.
He gets explicitly called out for just how he tokenizes radical leftists to make himself look more radical than he is in this next clip.
Wait, they're like fact checking me with text. If you were consistent, you'd be deriding the Panthers for being tankies instead of tokenizing them for your bullshit argument. How the fuck am I tokenizing the Black Panther Party by saying they fought for racial equality? What the fuck?
This is crazy. Some people in the Black Panthers was on some radical type of stuff. But there was a lot of Black Panthers that didn't agree with those tactics and did want certain things like peace. If you think of Fred Hampton, you could think of like, what was it? The free breakfast for all kids. That program, which the government took directly after they did what they did. I think that's crazy. But like, the generalization of what the Black Panthers did or what they stood for, there was different leaders in different sectors that had different missions. That some may have been similar, but like, that's deep. Like, I would have to do a video like where I'm talking about Black Panthers for like hours upon hours. There's people that still claim Black Panther right now, bro. Like, still, like we the new Black Panther. Like, it's mad deep. But there was a lot of misinformation involving them, and the government like did a lot to like smear their name and paint them in a bad light. Some were wilding out here in these streets and went along with that. Then you got to hold it to account all of the like high ranking members who were government like agents, right? That was an actual thing, right? So were these the government agents making these decisions, or was it the Black Panthers? Everything I'm saying is a fact, by the way, guys. Like, I'm not saying anything that you can't look up within 5 minutes and find. But yeah.
Fuck, that is some weird.
This makes me want to look into that even more, just to go through the history one more time.
That is a very strange accusation.
This is another one of Vaush's favorite strategies, and his fans fight it every single time, where he acts incredibly indignant at something a person says, as if it's the most idiotic thing ever, without ever actually addressing the thing that person makes.
Was trash. That was garbage. Decatur Remy. Yo, nah. If you're referring to the Rainbow Coalition, that's different from Rainbow Mafia. There's two different parties.
At all. You can support a movement or a person while also tokenizing them by making them look less radical at the same time. And this clip goes on to perfectly show exactly how Vaush does that.
That is a very strange accusation. Not just socialism. Material conditions can mean fucking Panthers fought for racial equality by pursuing national liberation with a Marxist-Leninist analysis. Okay, yeah, so they're basically just complaining about lesbians marching outside of the Washington, history. And you are lucky that I personally got Biden into office, because otherwise, is Hakeem...
Not really going to comment on this last part, as it is not relevant to the video as a whole, except to say that even as someone who doesn't think too much about IDPO, well, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, it's incredibly remarkable how disgusting on so many levels this last part is. I don't care if he calls it irony. This is not the kind of thing you say unless the person you're saying it to is some kind of friend or... and these the jokes have been established as okay.
From Iraq? Well, hey, listen, okay? We're going to get Biden, get those troops out of Iraq, okay? Wait, did he already do that? We're going to keep Biden from fucking bombing any more of your airports, okay? That's what we're going to do. You're welcome, Hakeem. True.
When Vaush gets to the word Marxist-Leninist, his mouth suddenly spazzes out. He mumbles about how the video...
That was pretty intense.
It was complaining about him before he skips past the fact that the Black Panthers were MLs without even addressing it. He's just far too egotistical to admit a smear of MLs all being useless authority.
I bet you a bunch of these lefties are talking about Black Panthers and don't know nothing about them. Like, I really believe that deep down in my heart that they just looked up something on Wikipedia, found like one thing that matched whatever their narrative was, and was like, yes, Black Panthers, let's use them in our arguments. It's like, you niggas don't even understand the majority of the
authoritarian losers was just exposed in front of his audience. And so he has to move on as fast as possible. And by doing so, he is, of course, doing the definition of political...
Let's be clear, though. The Black Panthers existed today, which I think they still do a certain fraction. I would want no parts in it. I would want no parts in that. No. I'm fan gang. That's what I am. I don't subscribe to any political philosophy necessarily. But because I'm conservative in the way of traditional, I guess I'm on the right. Like, I took some kind of test which says I'm like on the right leaning. I'm like leaning right. I'm not far right, but I'm leaning. But yeah, I'm on the right. But I don't follow any political philosophy,
Tokenization. He's doing the timeless act of co-opting radicalism. Radical. Just like neoliberals do with MLK, praising him as an inspiration while completely ignoring how radical he actually was.
I literally got into leftism because of the Black Panther Party. The assassination of Fred Hampton political my left, but still, like, to me...
He's zooming in. I'm in zooming in.
The foundational text that I used got the end of this whole political scale. Marxist.
White nationalism, Black power, Marxism, Leninism, womanism, anti-imperialism.
Leninism doesn't mean anything. It doesn't.
Vaush at least does acknowledge in the latest of his anti-Marxist-Leninist videos recently released that the Black Panthers were also influenced heavily by Maoism, but he still really doesn't admit that they were also Marxist-Leninists. And he also argues that he thinks they're different from regular people that call themselves Maoists.
So when the Black Panther Party calls themselves Maoist, what do they actually mean? What are they referring to? Well, in their case, they were referring largely to organizational and revolutionary structures. Whereas in the case of regular people who call themselves Maoists, I interpret that as a defense of Mao, like as a leader.
The ideas of both following a Maoist revolutionary structure...
Hey, hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button if you can, if you haven't yet.
Or supporting past socialist leaders, those are not two mutually exclusive ideas like he seems to be saying. And he's also just wrong. Huey Newton saw Mao as a hero. He visited China and met with Zhou Enlai, one of Mao's closest allies. Fred Hampton also highly admired Mao, not to mention Lenin and Che and Kim Il-sung. Of course, if anyone in this day and age said that kind of stuff that Fred Hampton said about people like Mao, Vaush would instantly call them a tanky. He's just spouting a bunch of nonsense that isn't consistent at all with his opinions.
I wouldn't think that Vaush would be consistent. I wouldn't think that most left streamers would be consistent at all, or YouTubers at that.
It's just convenient in this moment when it comes to demonizing Marxist-Leninists and Maoists. What Vaush is basically trying to establish is that when there is any case where Marxist-Leninists or Maoists are seen as acceptable within the confines of what Vaush personally sees as acceptable, Vaush can just say, oh, but they're not the regular people Maoists or Marxist-Leninists who are just authoritarians or Mao defenders or whatever. He's openly said this kind of thing in the same clip where he said Marxism-Leninism doesn't mean anything.
And frankly, I think a lot of the people who call themselves Marxist-Leninists aren't lunatics. Probably just, that doesn't even describe their ideology that well.
So what he's basically saying is that his apparent political idols like Fred Hampton or Thomas Sankara,
they wasn't about nothing, which would be a contradicting ass statement. It's almost as if you're just using them as a ploy to gain leverage for fans to follow you and believe in you and think that you have certain stances. Yeah, that's a common thing with these streamers. I'm trying to tell you.
Were misguided about calling themselves MLs at all in the first place. They just weren't real MLs, as he calls it. He realizes he can't just ignore that organizations like the Black Panthers are Marxist-Leninist or Maoist, so he has to resort to just saying that they aren't actual Marxist-Leninists. This is just an even more blatant form of tokenization than before. He's openly admitting that he's tokenizing them. He's doing the same thing as if you confronted a neolib about how MLK was a socialist, and then they would say, well, he wasn't like a regular People's Socialist like that Lenin guy or that crazy Ho Chi Minh guy.
Yes, I was getting them. So Vaush is definitely... That's funny. That's hilarious, man. Hey, what's up, Chill Rock? So W.
He wasn't a real socialist. The most amazing part is that Vaush claims he's tried to be conciliatory.
Every single time. I've really tried to be conciliatory here. Every single time. I'm like, hey, you know, not all MLs are like this one, or 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 this one. Eventually I have to draw the line. I think MLs are just like that, yeah.
Yeah, I would go crazy if I had to watch Vaush every day, bro. I would lose my damn mind. Like, for real. Like, I don't know how anyone does it. Like, he is extremely boring. He dry, and not even in a fun, dry, humor way, right? Like, he ain't Seinfeld dry. He like kitty litter dry. He's sand dry, right? He dry like that. And it just seems like he pumps out a lot of misinformation. I guess because he can talk to people a certain way, he gets like, I don't know, propped it up for some weird reason. Because he got a bunch of other like left streamers kissing his ass. He gets propped it up for some weird reason. I don't know.
It's just a complete lie to say you've been conciliatory by just writing off all of the many counters to your argument as not being real counters when they absolutely are. It's especially remarkable that a person as dishonest about his political beliefs as Vaush would be the one to say that socialists who actually fought for socialism are the actual people who weren't actually of the political ideology they ascribe themselves to. It's just amazing how patronizing and how egotistical he is. But only now are we finally arriving at the best part.
That sounds like Vaush. His ego seemed crazy.
Part of it all. In continuing his remarkable quest to say Marxism-Leninism doesn't exist, Vaush goes on to say maybe the single dumbest thing I think I've ever heard him say.
Like, if you take a look at the ideological tenets of Marxism-Leninism, they're really inconsistent. They literally vary country to country, which is why you hear Marxism-Leninism with Chinese characteristics, or with Vietnamese characteristics, or with Cuban characteristics, or with Russian. But what they're saying is that there's not actually a Marxism-Leninism. It's a state ideology. They're essentially saying Marxism-Leninism is a broad label that you just use alongside a state apparatus to justify the existence of that state.
It is just beyond belief how ignorant and stupid, yet so confident in themselves someone can be. All ideologies of all sorts are adaptable because the conditions of countries and the leaders' perspectives of how to solve the country's problems all differ to some extent. Even if two governments call themselves a liberal democracy, those two governments will still have ways in which their governments differ from one another. By Vaush's logic, does that mean liberal democracies don't exist? It's just a totally incoherent argument to make. Of course,
let me see what you said. See, with French characteristics, liberal democracy, with American characteristics, liberal democracy, Italian characteristics.
Does that mean liberal democracies don't exist? It's just a totally incoherent argument to make. Of course, he doesn't really believe what he's saying deep down. It's just convenient for him to say this specifically about Marxism-Leninism because that is an ideology he is obsessed not only with critiquing and, examining, but just bad faith demonizing no matter what. Vaush has always been fond of calling Marxist-Leninists people who are just obsessed with aesthetics, as he pronounces it.
If you're rooting your political philosophy in the aesthetic of adopting the positions of some...
Yo, fam, him having the picture of himself in his background is crazy to me, bro. Like, that just shows, like, my ego is like, it's up there. So I made a picture of me. I would not post that dream behind me, bro. And like, that just is crazy. It looks wow, bro. It looks like you have some narcissistic tendencies, but I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose or like evaluate him fully.
Person,
I don't got no degrees in that.
You live in, then you are an aesthetically oriented leftist, and you're not doing anyone any service.
But there is nothing more aesthetic than saying the Marxist-Leninist Fred Hampton is a single inspiration that got you into politics in order to portray yourself as radical and edgy, but then saying at the same time that Marxist-Leninists are idiots or stains on the socialist movement or authoritarian fascists. Marxist-Leninist Vaush claims to admire, like Fred Hampton and Thomas Sankara, fought and died for socialism. Marxist-Leninist revolutionary groups fighting today in places like India, the Philippines, and Turkey are fighting and dying for socialism. Ultimately, whether or not you agree with Marxism-Leninism as an ideology is one thing, but it's impossible to ignore how dishonest Vaush is when it comes to that ideology.
He's dishonest in general. Like, man, he is dishonest in general, bro. He's like mostly for clout, bro. Like, from what I'm even seeing, he won't even debate people that he know will smoke his boots, bro. Like, especially if they don't have the clout that he's seeking.
Privileged first world, aesthetically oriented socialists like Vaush argue that anything that may have gone wrong in past and
current social systems is a definite. They don't want that. I'll become like a therapist or something like that, or a psychiatrist. I'm telling you, I'm going in. I'm going in, man. Yeah, you book me for a session. That shit gonna look like a red pill meeting. I'm going in. What are you doing with yourself? When was the last time you worked out? You ain't get a haircut? Sitting here crying? It's gonna look like the old college commercial. What are you doing with your life? Get off the couch now. I think you just make me feel horrible about myself. And I was like 5 years old. I was like 5. Like, I got to get off the couch and work, mama. Why did he talk to me like that? I was a child. That was a crazy commercial back in the day. Just, you're lazy. Get off the couch and do something now. I'm like, I don't even know my times tables yet, sir. Like, I got to go get a job right now. Like, that's crazy. Oh, and also, I'm always going to diagnose the greeny green. That's facts. That's facts. That's going to make anything better. I mean, I just broke up with my girlfriend. I don't know what to do. Smoke this. I'm joking, man. That's a choice. That's a choice you can make on your own accord, man. But choose for yourself. But choose for yourself. That's on you. You say ICDC college. Had the nerve to have little Romeo in there. Did he even finish college? I don't think he finished college. ICDC college. Almost like those old commercials where people were deflated and it was literally about dangers. Yeah, that was crazy. I watched some of the dumbest commercials about greeny green. Yeah. If it wasn't for the green, I'll have daily seizures again. See? Think about that, man. But make your own choice. I'm not trying to tell people what to do.
The indicator that the people in charge are not real socialists, while ignoring the reality of running a socialist state, which in all historical examples started out as incredibly isolated, poor, and with capitalist enemies that wanted to do everything humanly possible to destroy them on every side, and that therefore Marxism-Leninism is just a justification for authoritarianism. As Michael Prenti writes in his book Black Shirts and Reds, the pure socialist ideological anticipations reign untainted by existing practice. They do not explain how the functions of revolutionary society would be organized, how external attack and internal sabotage would be thwarted, how bureaucracy would be avoided, scarce resources allocated, policy difference settled, priorities set, and production and distribution conducted. Instead, they offer vague statements about how the workers themselves will directly own and control the means of production and will arrive at their own solutions through creative struggle. No surprise, then, that pure socialists support every revolution except the ones that succeed. This is, of course, Vaush in a nutshell. The only type of revolutionary he'll support is the likes of Thomas Sankara, who was lucky to die early enough to not make any big mistakes in his policies, or to be successful enough that the capitalist propaganda machine would have to kick into full gear to demonize him as much as possible. Vaush has no end of criticism for socialist.
You know what commercial I miss? The one with the Taco Bell dog. What happened to the Chihuahua from Taco Bell? Why they stop doing that, man? That was my joint. What happened to that commercial? That joint was fire. I ain't seen him use that dog since.
But in the entire video about how he wants to build socialism, Vaush never once...
Or the 7-Up commercials. I used to like to make 7-Up yours commercials. That was my joint.
This mentions what happens once the revolution occurs, what his socialist experiment might actually look like. It's obviously extremely difficult to do this in a single video, especially one that's only 25 minutes long. But in a video titled How I Want to Build Socialism, I'd expect more than to just mysteriously stop right at the mention of a revolution and then say nothing more. But again, the reason for this is pretty simple. Vaush is an aesthetically oriented socialist, and
I'm with you, Sharon. I can't tell people what to do. I'm not recommending, but I'm with you. Man, now I'm telling you, y'all have no idea that 420 life saved my life. Real talk. Yeah, it's as good as they say.
Nothing more. He has never actually given the first thought to how a revolution might actually survive because he doesn't really believe in a revolution all that much in the first place. Of course, Vaush is not a new phenomenon. Countless so-called socialists throughout history have also denounced any actual socialist experiments. Vaush is just part of a long line of so-called socialist, anti-socialist propagandists. For some reason,
I don't get lazy when I smoke. Like, I do things. I'm the type to smoke and clean my whole house, like, and really be detailed. They were like, why did it take you 20 hours? I was getting in there. Like, I was. Put some elbow grease. I'm in there. Wow, I'm scrubbing everything. So yeah, I'm the type of person whenever I smoke, I become more active. I work out when I smoke. Like, I prefer to work out high. I think it just works better for me. Man, if you ain't seen somebody go crazy when they are, fam, let me do Muay Thai high on my mind. I'm telling you, fam, people gonna be like, what the hell is he on? Like, not tired. I'm so high, I forgot that being tired exists. I'm kicking people in their face. You don't even know where it hits you, bro. You don't even know. If I ever get a YouTube boxing match, I'm gonna be high out my mind. I'm gonna knock Jake Paul out. Dead serious. And then light one up with Snoop Dogg. Why not? Why not? I used to say Seth Rogen could get up in there. I don't know if Seth Rogen could get up in there. I don't know if he can get up in there no more. He lost his cool points.
More effective than just about anyone else alive at denigrating the same political movements they claim to support. After all, by instantly and totally conceding to the right wing's framing.
Hey, yo, me and Chill Rock did one of the best reactions ever. Go check out my music channel. We was high. Dope ass reaction. Dope ass reaction. We was able to see everything. He was blasting.
Of these societies as dystopias without the tiniest bit of pushback, except sometimes Cuba, where they might push back in the lightest of ways. Other leftists, uneducated about these issues, like I was, can look at people like Vaush and think that if even a socialist is anti-USSR, then the USSR must have been an authoritarian dystopia, right? The anti-USSR works of useful idiots like George Orwell, after all, were promoted heavily by the CIA for a very...
Edibles make me, like, just wild out. I told you guys, like, I had an edible. I ate this big-ass Rice Krispie. Bro, I was looking for the broom for 2 hours just for my friend to go, you've been holding the broom, walking around for 2 hours asking, where's the broom? Why didn't you tell me that 2 hours ago? Did you think it was funny? But yeah, Fab, like that, it had me messed up. The Rice Krispies, the gummies ain't really that strong to me. It's the Rice Krispies and the cookies that really be messing me up.
Good reason. Of course, it's almost acceptable for people in Orwell's time to have succumbed to the endless propaganda. But there is not much of an excuse in this day and age when there's so much information out there and you have been confronted on your lack of knowledge time and time again. Unsurprisingly, most of Vaush's audience are also pure socialists themselves. I got instantly banned from his Discord for just trying to say the same things people like Fellow Traveler and Michael Prentice said. Of course, how is Vaush so effectively...
What did you say?
Trying to say...
You were banned from Vaush's... Cringe, ML defending authoritarian states, screenshots about the... Wait, what? He bans you from his Discord for having different opinions? I'm banning cringe, ML defending authoritarian states. Yo, that's wild. That's wild. Okay. What's Vaush's Discord? I'm about to go in there and violate.
Say the same things.
I'm about to go in there and ask to talk to him on the spot.
Fellow Traveler and Michael Prentice said. Of course, how has Vaush so effectively completely shut down any conversation with people to his left, people who try to debunk these and similar falsehoods that he spreads? And how has he cultivated such a large, devoted audience in the process? Well, Vaush has a Batman's tool belt full of strategies that he uses to avoid and defect criticism or demonize his...
Oh, that's crazy. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button. He's going in. Said BX spent 2 hours playing Quidditch. That's what it looked like, right? I was on my Harry Potter flow, floating around the room. Just, where the hell is that broom? I know I had it. I know I had it. It's in my hand. Look like I'm about to fly off like a witch. Like, I know I had that broom. Let me just get on this and look for it. I'm floating around the room. That's what it looked like. I was floating around the room looking for the broom. Man. This is crazy.
His critics, both in debates and out of them.
Guys. One
of his very main strategies against people to his left is to scarecrow them by comparing their arguments or them.
Yeah, I got banned. Me and a moderator got banned from his Discord. I got banned for saying the N-word. Yeah, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I have video footage to prove it. I got banned because I went in there looking to debate Hunter when he was running from me. Yes, that was a thing. He was running from me, denying a debate for months. But yeah, I went in there looking for him and then seeing his moderators in there. And I was like, let's just have a conversation. And they banned me because I said the N-word. And then they banned one of my moderators because they asked, why did you ban me? And then the guy went on a power trip rant like, oh, I do what I want. We gonna ban anyone. You could get banned too. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But yeah, it happens.
To Nazis or fascists. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not bad per se to use Nazi comparisons. It's actually often very warranted. But to compare it to people to his left, genuine socialists, the same types of people who once fought against Nazi occupation as hard as anyone, is incredible. He's made fascist or Nazi or Holocaust supporting accusations against the likes of Professor Flowers, Luna Oy, Non-Compete, Bada Banada, Fellow Traveler, Danky Kang, Hakeem, and I'm sure many, many more. Of course, these same red fascists acknowledge actual red fascists, also known as Patsacks or Nazbols, people like Jackson Hinkle or Infrared, for being crazy all
Vaush is 100% Hunter's daddy. That's a fact. That's a big fact. He's also Xander Hall's daddy as well.
the time. There's very clear and extensive evidence for this. It's not like a couple people. Like, these people are widely condemned or at least disliked by most of the people that Vaush calls tankies. Vaush says he's not against the idea of critical support, but let's be honest, he's just a liar to say that and then lump all Marxist-Leninists into a single category.
Every single time I'm like, hey, not all MLs are like this one, or 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 this one. Eventually I have to draw the line. I think MLs are just like that.
It's not in Vaush's interest to make a distinction between Plat socks and
Hey, hit the likes. Hit the likes. Thank you, guys. Hit the like button if you can, man. Show support.
or Hakeem, who have both positive and negative things to say about the USSR, but Hakeem has criticized Vaush, as many other Marxist-Leninists have also criticized him. So they are all red fascists, even though most of them do not uncritically support countries like Russia or China, or express racist or anti-LGBTQ views like the minority of Pat socks do. If you're someone like me, though, who was very loyal to Vaush for a while, his strategy of scarecrowing his opponents as insane or fascist or uneducated really helps to shut down any rational.
Has this guy debated Vaush? Vaush would probably never do it because of the whole clout thing. But whatever.